Finance professionals are the foundation of every company. They need to be in touch with current issues and be experts in adapting their organizations to future challenges. It's not about crunching the numbers. It's about seeing the road ahead. The Certified Management Accountant, or CMA, is a globally respected certification that proves your mastery of the 12 core practice areas in management accounting. Earn it and take your place at the leadership table at the world's best companies. Foresee trends through the use of technology and analytics. Be responsible and sustainable through professional ethics and standards. Add value to your career and become a financial leader of the future.
What do these jobs have in common? They will all be highly automated. According to the World Economic Forum, 85 million jobs will be replaced by ones that are more a collaboration between humans and machines. While on the other hand, 97 million jobs will be created that are truly a collaboration between algorithms, machines, and humans. And what do these skills have in common? Those are the skills that employers are looking for when hiring new people or promoting people. Now and in the future, you need strong hard finance skills and soft skills combined in order to be successful in your career. And you might be wondering, what does this have to do with me? We all know that technology is already around us for a very long time. But COVID-19 accelerated the usage of technology by companies. And therefore, we as finance professionals must upskill in strategy management, data science, and technology. And we must realize what is at stake. And that is our relevance and influence in fast-moving digital companies. And therefore, we as finance professionals must leverage technology into our jobs, and we must act fast and smart in that. Welcome, and thank you for watching. My name is Alain Mulder, and I'm the Senior Director Youth Operations at IMA, the Institute of Management Accountants, the organization behind the CMA program. And today I'm joined by Bernardin. Hi, welcome.
Pleased to be here.
Great. How are you?
All right.
Great to hear that. We are looking forward to this webinar. And Brigitte, I'm also joined by you. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Great. And virtually, we are joined by Ross as well. I know it's very early for you, Ordi, so I really appreciate it that you are joining us today. Thanks.
Pleased to be here.
Great. Thanks. And in this webinar, you will learn how to prepare yourself for the future of finance and how to stay relevant. We will learn you how to maximize your career and earnings potential. And upscaling or upskilling is really essential for organizations, but also for employees, in order to stay relevant and to be active within the field of business. And therefore, in this webinar, we will learn you how to upskill yourself with the CMA program. You will learn how to enroll in the CMA program, but also how to prepare yourself for the exams. And from two esteemed established CMAs, you will learn and hear how the CMA helped them in their career journey. And as discussed, CFOs need to leverage technology to cope with new challenges. According to a recent article in IMA Strategic Finance magazine, there are a few top concerns for CFOs in the current year. And many of them are related to employees, like employee retention and skill building, so development for employees. And they must leverage technology to solve their problems. So that also means that you, as an employee, must be capable in leveraging technology into your job in order to solve the issues for the CFO and the company as a whole. And what I think, this is really a nice time to work in finance, because we must work cross-functionally with another set of collaborators. We need to work with data scientists, with data security professionals, but also with statisticians and even with robots. So you really need to have soft skills, good, strong soft skills as well for that. And what I always say, you don't have to be a PhD in data science, but you need to know the basic so that you can ask the right questions to the data scientist within your company. And now we are going to watch a brief video before we go to Bernardin.
How future-proof is your job? Throughout history, technology has transformed work. Innovations have led to revolutions similar to the digital revolution we witness today. Routine versus value-added functions determine which sectors are most likely to become automated. A sector which requires value addition, like strategic insight and foresight, may find it difficult to automate work roles. Industry reports on robotics and the future of work indicate that finance and accounting jobs involving leadership and people management are most likely to survive the robot revolution. These jobs require human skills like caring, connecting, and coaching. As expectations become higher for CFOs, they look to technology for solutions. CFOs seek employees who can leverage technology for insights. Technological advancements will continue to provide more accurate and timely data, but the strategic decisions taken on the basis of that information will always require human involvement.
I think that video sums it up quite nicely. Lots of relevant statistics and information, how the role of the finance and accounting professional is evolving, especially in these times. Of course, as IMA, it is incumbent upon our organization to find out exactly how this may affect you. And more importantly, how being a certified management accountant, a CMA, can support you in driving business innovation and value creation for your organization. My name is Bernardin, General Lau, and I'm Director of Regional Partner Relations for the IMA. Now, IMA has analyzed the emerging competencies that management accountants need and has thus created the IMA Management Accounting Competency Framework. Now, this framework identifies 6 domains or 6 core domains of responsibilities and skills that finance and accounting professionals need in the digital age. This framework drives everything we do as an organization, from the coursework, the webinars, the Strategic Finance Magazine articles, research, thought leadership, and even a podcast series. But most importantly, the content of the CMA exam. Starting with strategy planning and performance, being that visionary. How are you going to position your organization for the future? And as a competency, you'll need to be able to manage different stakeholders effectively. You need to conduct more than just the traditional performance management, leverage current technologies in strategy and planning. From early on in your career, you should be able to make thorough decisions. Moving on to technology and analytics, we can't stress this competency enough. Enabling the finance function by managing technology and analyzing essential data, which is required for organizational success. The video summarized it. Alain Mulder emphasized it, that technology is changing. And you know what? It always will. So you, as a finance and accounting professional, you need to be able to know what to do with that technology and how to harness the information it gives you to drive value creation for your organization. You need to be ahead and, to quote our CEO, be more anticipatory with that information that you have. Now, not everything has to be new and trendy, so you also have to focus on the basics, which in this case are reporting and control. This is more of the traditional oversight and compliance type of role that are required for essential and sustainable business models. As accounting and finance professional, however, nowadays you also need to be able to incorporate newer technologies in your internal reporting, which now also includes ESG, so environmental, social, and governance performance. Business acumen and operations. Do you know about your organization and what it does, everything that it does? That's the bare minimum. But you should also know about the industry it's in and its standing in that industry. So you also need to know about the competitors, your competitors. You need to be all-knowing about all these things, and that makes you the best business partner that you can be for your organization. Finance and accounting professionals increasingly assume the role of strategic business advisor, where they investigate and make recommendations on diverse factors impacting organizational success. So on top of that, you also need to be mindful of new business model and frameworks, and make sure that continuous learning is a part of your organization and your DNA. In the center of it all is leadership, the soft skills like coaching and mentoring, dealing with conflict, collaborating with others, inspiring others, skills that used to be an afterthought for finance and accounting professionals, but are now gaining in importance, especially in these times where we have various models of work, hybrid work, remote work, all these new challenges. So the more of these skills you have earlier in your career, the better. So when you are presented with an opportunity to take on a leadership position, embrace it. And all of this is built on a foundation of professional ethics and values, demonstrating the professional values, ethical behavior, and legal compliance essential to a sustainable business. I know we've all got targets, key performance indicators, KPIs, and we keep asking ourselves, did we grow? Did we meet those targets? Did we exceed them? You should also ask yourself, did you do it ethically? Now, if you can answer yes to the first set of questions and to the last one, then your organizational ethics is on a very good path. Now, while focusing that the competencies all finance and accounting professionals need is evolving, we recognize that the role of the management accountant requires a broader set of skills. The CMA, Certified Management Accountant body of knowledge, covers many of the competencies described earlier, plus a broader suite of skills needed to create value from within an organization. The two-part exam that you can see there on your screen covers 12 of the management accounting competencies that management accountants need, and this goes beyond the foundational knowledge. You also see competencies there on risk management, investment decisions, corporate finance, and internal controls. Each of these competencies is based on a robust job analysis study. The CMA gives you the insight and ability to turn data into dialogue. The competency to improve organizational performance and drive value creation for your business. You remain relevant by becoming a CMA because you understand the broader business needs and speak the boardroom language. The CMA will give you the confidence to be the smartest person in the room. Now, there are just two milestones I'd like you to remember here, and the first one is 50 years. Just last year, we've celebrated the 50-year anniversary of the CMA. On top of that, 100,000. September 2021, we were able to celebrate the 100,000th CMA awarded. 50 years, 100,000 CMAs have earned it globally. Speaking of CMAs who have earned it, I now have the pleasure of introducing not one, but two CMA champions. First, Brigitte de Graaf, CMA and CSCA. Brigitte is on the IMA Global Board of Directors and is also the chair of the Global Sustainable Business Management Global Task Force. one of our exceptional and highly valued volunteer leaders. And on top of that, she is a CMA lecturer and PhD candidate at the Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam. Welcome, Brigitte.
Thank you very much.
Glad to have you here. Next up, Russ Porter, CMA, CFM, and CSCA. Russ is the CFO and Senior Vice President, Strategy, Technology, and Analytics at the IMA. Such a pleasure to have Russ join us virtually all the way from Montvale, USA. Welcome, Russ, and good morning.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It's great to be here.
All right. So without further ado, we'd like to start with the question round. And this one goes for Russ and Brigitte. So would you briefly describe your career path and how earning the CMA credential has helped you personally? Russ, starting with you.
Sure. So as Bernardin just mentioned, I'm the CFO of IMA. That's a relatively new position for me. I joined the staff of the organization about 6 months ago, but I've been a member for almost 29 years now. I'm a firm believer in the skills and the capabilities that the IMA promotes and the CMA tests, because I think they've really helped my career throughout my time, first at IBM, where I spent 28 years, and now here at IMA. Now, in my career, I moved through a series of progressively advanced leadership roles throughout IBM, starting in accounting, where I spent about 9 years, and moving on to roles in internal audit, operations, financial planning. And my last 7 years were spent as division CFOs and group controllers. All along the way, I really benefited from the skills, knowledge, and experience that I gained through the CMA program, and especially the continuing education that's a part of the life cycle of the program. You know, I found that my skills were kept sharper, more current than a lot of my peers who had not gone through the CMA program. Now, the certification clearly helped. I mean, taking the exam and learning the skills. But really, across my career, I have found that it's the application of those skills and applying that competency framework that Bernardin just went through. Getting that vast set of skills that apply across financial disciplines, that's really made a difference. And it's led to a career that's now got me as the CFO of a global organization, which is hopefully going to be the capstone of my career.
Thank you, Russ. And Brigitte, the same question. Would you briefly describe your career path so far and how earning the CMA credential has helped you personally and professionally?
Of course, of course. Well, as I am currently a CMA lecturer, you can definitely state that the CMA has heavily influenced my career so far. I got my CMA about 8 years ago, and I was right out of college. I just finished my master's in accounting and control, and I was looking around, still working at university, working at a consultancy firm, and identifying what kind of topics I wanted to research and study. And I really knew at that point in time that I needed to know more, actually. I needed to gain more experience to really understand the field, but I also knew by then that there was so much to the field of accounting, and specifically of management accounting. Because there are so many. You just shown the competency framework, IMA's competency framework, and there are just so many fields that are intertwining and connected to each other. And I really knew that I needed to know more about that. And I needed something which would help me actually to get this overview of the field and to get this experience and understand how everything affects each other. Because as a management accountant, you are actually at the heart of the organization. You are there where everything comes together, strategy and reporting and decision making. And I wanted to know more about that. So the CMA really helped me with that. It really helped me to give some guidance in that sense to where I wanted to go, what I found very interesting. I pursued my PhD in sustainability and the impact on basically the management control system. So really also that core field of management accounting. And actually IMA and the CMA program is still very much helping me with that as well. Because with the changing fields right now, I really see that the attention that's given from in the CMA program and from IMA towards these important topics, we've been talking about technology, but I think sustainability is also one of them. It is still helping me in my career. with the global task force, but also in the different leadership roles that are there, that are available, how you can develop yourself within IMA. Once you're a CMA, that's just amazing. So it really helped me a lot.
Great, great. We should have that as a quote somewhere. Very good. Thank you, Brigitte. Now, let's stay with you. You completed your CMA back in 2014.
Yes.
So at the time, what inspired you to pursue the CMA, and how long did it take you to achieve your goal?
Yeah, well, I already knew about the CMA program from the university I was on. There is a CMA program there, so I learned about that, and I was already in touch with many people who were pursuing their CMA there. And what I found so interesting was that all these people had all different stories and different backgrounds and different reasons to study for the CMA, but they were all people in senior professional roles who still saw what value the CMA would bring to their career, no matter whether they were at the beginning or halfway through their career or maybe at a career switch. So I really realized back then that together with what I was looking for personally, that it would really bring me not only the knowledge that I wanted, but also something else. And that something else is also something that you see if you go beyond the CMA program just. There's also a whole network of people around the world who have followed the CMA program, who are CMAs and who are still being connected with each other and continue to learn throughout their whole career. And that continuing education, that is something which is so important. What we saw the past year, or the past years actually, how many changes there have been, how people were disrupted in their day-to-day job and needed to change. I mean, this is something which we will see probably more often, that the world is changing and quicker, and you need to be able to adapt to that. And with the skills you learn from the CMA program, the whole broader field, the whole broader picture you will be learning from the CMA program. And all the skills you can learn either by attending all those continuing education or with building your network or building your leadership skills, you are prepared actually for those changes.
Thank you for that, Brigitte. So 140,000 members all across the globe. I mean, there's a huge network and a lot of potential that you can do for your career. Russ, question for you. So you earned your CMA. I'm not going to name the date, but way back. Can you give us some examples of specific CMA concepts used on the job?
I'm not shy, Bernardin. I did earn my CMA a few years before Brigitte. I actually passed the exam in 1993 and became a CMA in 1995 after I had gotten that work experience that you mentioned earlier. And I really love the comment you made earlier about the language. One of the things that the CMA really does equip people with is having the language to talk not only across financial disciplines, but also have the appropriate interactions with the business. Understanding the business side of issues, not just the financial side, but also having that ability to talk across financial disciplines, whether it's financial accounting or planning and analysis, pricing, business controls, audit. And candidly, I was really thrilled to see the addition of technology and analytics added to the CMA body of knowledge, the CMA exam body of knowledge, because I think that is going to continue to be one of the biggest areas. Short story is, the way I first got noticed at IBM was my ability to apply technology to analytical questions. It's nothing by today's standards, but back then, one of the first projects I was assigned to was trying to figure out the effect of a change in our amortization curves for software. Now, we had thousands of software products, all on their own separate amortization lives, and they needed somebody to go, figure out what would be the effect of a change in the amortization life. Well, I had recent, data skills, and data and skills in this case was Lotus 123, a long ago precursor of Excel. And the ability to think about that, data management and data cleansing and accuracy, and it got me noticed. It got me people paying attention, and I became known for my ability to apply technology to data analytics issues. Nothing's changed except for the scope and the scale and the importance of data analytics. So that is a way that accounting and finance, with our mental discipline, can really apply solutions to problems that our businesses are facing and help us increase the value so we can take advantage of opportunities and make better decisions as a company. In addition to that, it's also just equipping accountants with the toolkit of different ways to approach budgeting, different ways to approach forecasting, how you might implement a controls procedure or a controls framework around a process. While I was at IBM for 28 years, IBM's a lot of separate companies. They've got subscription models, they've got transactional models, they've got a research arm where understanding the potential return on investment is really important and really hard to do because they're working on things that won't be commercialized for 10 years. So in each case, it required a different way to approach the financial management from an incentive standpoint, from a forecasting standpoint. And the CMA helped give me all the tools, all the various ways of approaching an issue and being able to select the right model, the right approach, the right evaluation criteria for the different business models that the different divisions operated in. And so that was, again, a way that I was able to stand out among my peers because I had the background, I had the experience, I had that toolkit, that set of skills to say, here's a problem, I know how to approach that problem because I've seen lots and lots of different models. And of course, I can't hesitate but to talk about ethics as well. You mentioned ethics, and that is foundational, but having that strong ethics program embedded in the CMA and as a continuing part of our continuing education, that makes a big difference in understanding how to approach ethical dilemmas, because we all have ethical dilemmas in our lives, in our careers, in our professions, throughout our careers, and making sure that you've got a good framework, a good approach, and something that's grounded in a firm ethical basis has been really important, especially during my time in internal audit and controls.
Thank you for that, Russ, and especially for underlining the ethics point. We definitely need to ensure that this is part of everyone's mindset when it comes to doing business. To Brigitte, in your experience as a CMA lecturer, what are the most likely reasons for finance and accounting professionals to take on the CMA exam?
Well, they're actually very various. There are so many different reasons I've heard from people to start with the CMA program. One of them is indeed people just want to be more prepared for what the field has to bring, to be more prepared to develop themselves further within their role they are currently having, or maybe want to be prepared to switch towards another job. We also got quite a few students actually who slowly throughout their career moved from one position, which was actually very different from a traditional finance role, more and more towards this management accounting position. And they feel like they need the strength, the knowledge to develop themselves there further. So that's something I hear very often from people, that why they want to pursue the CMA. It can also be that they want to be more internationally focused. They had their university or their education anywhere in the world, and then they want to know more about how is it organized globally, and they want to learn more about that. And what I find interesting about that is that also that what you hear, one of my students told me how what he's learning through during the lectures, that he could actually apply that on a day-to-day basis into his job. He really was like, I work at it was a US-based manufacturing company. And he was like, well, actually, everything I'm learning now about cost management was what we were discussing. It's like, I can just apply this the next day in what I am doing on a day-to-day basis. And that's very interesting. And that really shows also that it is a certificate which really stresses what is important for people who are in the profession. So it's not too theoretical or anything. It really is something that you can actually use. It's knowledge that you can apply and can develop further within your own company. Another reason what you also see nowadays is actually that more and more companies are asking for CMAs. And that's just the reason why also some people who maybe hadn't heard of it before, they're like, well, apparently for my job I want to apply to, CMA is something which is not only an extra anymore, but it's almost something which is becoming required. So they're also more diving into those kind of, just let's see what it brings me. So actually there's a various amount of reasons why people are pursuing the CMA. In the end, I think, and that's also, what I really like to see also, that they always come back actually. So whenever we've had these classes and they pass their CMA program, after a while you see many of our previous candidates, you see them come back to our local chapter events, for example, continuing to learn about what's relevant for their jobs and what's relevant for them as a finance professional to keep on developing throughout their career.
You hit on a lot of good points there, Brigitte. So staying relevant, technical and practical, but also those employers, you can always send them to Alain Mulder and myself if they need any support.
I'll definitely will.
And having more CMAs at the organization. So speaking on that topic, so Russ, with technology changing at such a rapid rate in the finance function on an organizational level, how do you see employers benefited from hiring CMAs or encouraging certification?
Wow. Well, let me echo a couple of thoughts that Brigitte just mentioned. Number one, the ability to apply, the learnings of the CMA program in a person's job, the next day. That goes up to that upskilling of our teams. And employers are looking for highly skilled individuals who can jump in and potentially make change on day one. Because the technology is changing rapidly, because the business environment is changing rapidly. But I think it's more important, Brigitte mentioned a lot of people are taking the CMA or pursuing certifications because they want to change jobs. And I'll tell you, as an employer, that's one of the things that I'm looking for is I want to make sure that I'm hiring utility players. That is, people who have multiple skills across a diverse set of financial disciplines so that their individual job could be automated, but the individual has the skills to be moved into an area where they can add potentially higher value. Employers are looking for those multi-skilled individuals so that they've got the tools and the people who can adapt and respond to changing business environments and continue to add value from a finance perspective and from a business understanding perspective. And that's one of the reasons why the CMA is great, is that it is covering that broad body of knowledge and giving the tools, the various tools that finance professionals can use to act in roles in accounting or finance or treasury or even controls. I would add to that we're entering what might become a much more competitive environment for accounting. As remote work, the application of remote technology has really kicked in. Being able to do one's work remotely from a central office has become a lot easier. No longer do I need to be 50 kilometers, within a 50-kilometer radius of a home office. A lot of people can do their work from wherever they may be, in another town or even another country. And so that's going to open up the competitive landscape for hiring. Employers are going to have a much wider pool of potential employee candidates to choose from. One of the things that CMA does is it signals to employers, hey, I've got a broad set of skills that can apply in almost any situation, and I've got the trust, I've got the ethical background, I've got the capabilities to do whatever might be put in front of me. And that's something that employers are going to be keen to see, because remote work implies a lot more trust that employees are working and doing what they need to do to get their mission accomplished, a lot more than being in the office with people. And the CMA is a stamp of I know this person's qualified, I know this person's capable, and employers are going to take that as a sign that here's somebody that I can trust, that has the skills, that can get the job done that needs to be done, and they don't need to be monitored all the time. Finally, I also think that we hear about a lot of companies encouraging people to pursue certifications, to pursue skills, and that's a great thing. It signals, number one, that the company's willing to invest in their people and upskilling their people, which is going to benefit the organization. But it also emphasizes this concept of a growth mindset, that each of us is capable of doing more than we think we can, and is capable of learning and applying knowledge into new environments. And this is really important for the culture of an organization, because we have to recognize that just as technology changes, our people can change as well. And just as technology advances and grows, our people can grow and adapt to those technologies as well. It takes investment. It takes investment by the employee and the employer, but it creates a more robust, capable set of skills and capabilities at the organizational level as well as the individual level, and that's going to benefit everybody, especially the organization and its clients.
I can only agree, Russ. So the growth mindset facilitating into that can-do attitude that CMAs bring to the organization. So thanks for that. Very insightful. Rahit, back to you. The CMA is recognized globally, and we have CMAs from, in hundreds of countries in Europe and around the world. How can a CMA program benefit someone who would like to have an international career? And by international career, we mean a career abroad or in one's home country at an international company.
Well, I think one of the strengths of the CMA program is indeed the international factor to it. And I think that's also on how the CMA exams are organized. So the skill set that you're learning, it's a global skill set. It's the same around the world, what you need to know. And the fact that there are minor differences around the world doesn't matter in that sense, because those changes, such as technology and sustainability, they are everywhere. And how the CMA program is organized, it really helps in that sense. It's a two-part program, as you just explained, and these two parts are the same, basically the same level for everyone who takes these exams. So no matter where you are in the world or how experienced you already are, it really is the same for everyone. Everyone needs to take the same test. There is no shortcut, no round way to go around it. You really have to take those two exams. And I think that's a very important feature for the CMA and the value of the CMA, because the CMA is thus the same around the world, and it really becomes by that a global standard. And not only a global standard, it also becomes a global passport. As Russ was just telling about the skill set, who do you want to hire? Well, when you hire a CMA, you know what you're hiring, you know who you are hiring, and what kind of standards they have to live up to as well, professionally, with the continuing keeping up with the changes, with the continuing education, and also ethically. You really know who you are hiring when you are hiring a CMA. So in that sense, I think that global component is very important. And well, one other thing is that going back to those important changes that we are facing in the field, such as, again, technology and sustainability, they are there, and they are there for everyone. And it really helps that there is this global organization who shows thought leadership, and that there are CMAs around the world sharing their experiences with this, sharing their best practices with this. You can learn from the vast network that IMA has around the world. As a CMA, as a professional, you can just reach out to people. You can connect to other chapters around the world who are organizing some event on something that is highly relevant for you on the completely other side of the world, because you can learn from them. And that's also a very important feature of the CMA, the global network and the global learning and the global experience that we're taking from this and sharing around the world. I think that's indeed a very important feature.
Thank you. Well, evidently, the last, 2 years now have just accelerated that global network, and people were able to reach out to someone sitting in a completely different time zone.
Yeah,
Logistic.
And it shows it works.
Exactly. So and I'm down to my last question for the CMA interviews, always in demand, and I'd like Russ to answer that first. Russ, what advice do you have for someone considering or currently studying for the CMA?
We've all talked about the exam. And yes, the exam is something that you're going to study for and prepare for, but the exam is one day, or 2 days, over time. I would encourage everybody to focus on the learning, that the skills and the application of the skills over one's career is really the true underlying value of the CMA, aside from the recognition that you've passed the exam, that you've earned your certification. But it's the application of the knowledge that you'll gain during the CMA study and getting ready for that exam that really pays off. So I would recommend that people focus on making sure that they learn and they understand the body of knowledge, not simply treat it as getting ready to take an exam, because I think that's going to be more fulfilling for them over their lifetime, over their career. I'd also say, people should know their learning style. Some people learn as individuals, and some people learn better in groups and through interaction. Some learn by studying and then trying to, answer some sample questions. Others, start with the sample questions, figure out their strengths and weaknesses, and then go back and work on the areas where they're not so confident. So understanding your learning style and applying that in your studies is going to be a useful technique for just about everybody. And finally, I've run into a couple of people who said, gee, I've studied, I'm not really ready. I'm going to wait and take the exam later. I encourage people take the exam. Take the exam, sit through it, go through what it's like to take an exam. Take a practice exam if a course provider offers it. Because there's nothing like sitting in the conditions, learning how to take the exam and giving it your best shot. And you never know, you might surprise yourself with what you actually have absorbed through any kind of learning session. But ultimately it comes down to really, understanding what you're learning. Don't learn it for a week, don't learn it for a month, learn it for a lifetime.
Great words, Russ. Thank you very much for that. So don't just learn for the exam, but of course make sure it's as applicable as possible for you and your organization and the work that you're doing at that moment. Thank you, Russ. And Brigitte, same question to you. What advice do you have for someone considering or currently studying for the CMA?
Well, actually, I do agree with Russ about make sure that you understand the application of it. And you can make learning for the exam, you can make it fun by just thinking about all those concepts you're learning, as in, can I actually apply this to my current job? Or what would be needed to be able to apply this to my current job? Or because not everything, because there is this whole skill set that you're learning. So you're probably not involved with every topic in your day-to-day job. However, you can always think about how are we doing this in our organization? And is this something we could benefit from if we would apply this or not? And by doing that, you're not only really getting the knowledge, you're really understanding the knowledge, you're applying the knowledge, and you're also seeing it in the broader picture. And by that, it's not just those different topics that were just listed as this is covered in CMA Part 1 and this is in CMA Part 2. No, you see that CMA Part 1 and CMA Part 2, they're all intertwined, they're all connected in a way. And when you see those connections, it's going to be so much more fun to study for the program. And then actually just taking the exam, it's just, it's a lot of fun to take the exam by then. Still a lot of questions to make though. And by that, and if one other, I am in the end also a CMA lecturer, and the advice I always give to my students is start on time. Because if you really want to understand the knowledge and really want to be able to those 100 multiple choice questions, you need to be quick. You need to know it by heart. That's also where the value of the CMA is. But start on time and just take the leap, because you will see one topic is easy for you. The other one is a little bit more challenging. But what's life without a challenge?
I like that. What's life without a challenge? Thank you very much. So I think that if you, in front of your screen, have been looking for any sort of motivational nudge, I hope that Russ joining us and Brigitte joining us have given you actually a motivational push to get on with the CMA program. And the good thing is that's what we're here for. So to talk more about that and actually how to become a CMA, back to Alain Mulder.
Yeah, thank you, Bernard, and great story. So thank you for that. Let's now put it into action, because you need to become a CMA in order to be ready for that future of finance. So how do you become a CMA, a Certified Management Accountant? Well, let's go into that topic now. What are the program requirements? You need to successfully complete 2 exam parts, 4 hours each. 3 hours of 100 multiple choice questions. That gives you 1.8 minutes to read the questions, to do the calculations, to check the questions, of course also to give the answer. That's really tough. And of course 1 hour of open questions. You need to have a bachelor degree from an accredited college or university, and it can be in any major, that doesn't matter. So also if you did an MBA or another course, that really doesn't matter. You can, that's sufficient for starting the CMA. If your school is not on the list, because you can go to the CMA handbook, which is on imanet.org, there you find a drop-down list which schools, universities, colleges qualify for the CMA, and then you know, okay, I can start. If your name, the name of your school is not on that list, the ground rule is that it should be accredited by the local government. If you are not certain about it, please contact IMA Europe or the IMA Global Member Services. They can help you with answering that question. And you need to have 2 years of relevant working experience and an active membership in IMA. And of course, that's because after finishing the CMA, then you also need to keep developing yourself. And like what Brigitte was already mentioned, those chapter events are a great resource for learning, but also for networking. I see people who just joined the workforce, just graduated from school, talking with CFOs. Well, how much more networking do you want? That's great for your career. So it's all possible. And I already mentioned, you need to finish 2 exams. Those exams are worldwide. We have prometric testing centers globally where you can sit for the CMA exam. But we also recently launched remote proctoring. So that means that you can sit for the exam at home or maybe at your office. So you can now do it anytime, anywhere. It doesn't matter. And we offer 3 exam testing windows each year. So in January, February, May, June, or September, October, you can sit for the testing, for the exam. You can do it in the testing center or from home in those windows. And you can schedule the exam at your own pace. You can also say, okay, I want to do part 2 first, and then I do part 1 or the other way around. And on average, it takes candidates 1 year, 1.5 years to pass both exams successfully and to call themselves a CMA. Well, let's now put it into action and become a CMA and start preparing yourself for the CMA exams. We have course providers all across Europe that can help you preparing for the CMA exams. And we have many courses starting really soon, actually, so that's your chance to start studying. We have the VU University, the Vrije Universiteit here in the Netherlands. They start with part 1 on January 31st, and that's the English course. They also offer one in Dutch, and that one starts February 2nd. In France and Switzerland, we have Top Finance, and they offer e-learning and private tutoring for both exams. And Delaware, here in the Netherlands, starts March 17 with part 1 for the CMA exam. And Controller Academy in Germany, CMA Part 1, May 1st, and then CMA Part 2, September 12th. In Greece, we have Global Training. They offer the preparation course on February 12th for Part 1, and Part 2 starts March 3. Then we go to Russia, where we have HAK Training. They start on February 27th with Part 1 and Part 2 on March 6th. Staan Academy here in the Netherlands, February 16 for part 2 and November 30 for part 1. Be Certified Pro, that's live online training. They offer it globally, and that starts with part 1 on February 16 and February 17 they start with part 2. And then in Kosovo, we have ICAF. They start with part 1 on February 16 and also with part 2 on February 17. Marcus Verbeek Prehab here in the Netherlands starts on February 15 with part 2 and part 1 March 4. And then finally Victoria International University of Applied Science in Germany, part 1 May 21st. And Global International Management is offering online and live training. No fixed starting dates, but all private. So go to their website for more information. And then we have in Turkey, CMA Turk. They start live online training with part 1 and part 2, both on the same date on April 16. And then in Kazakhstan, we have the course provider as well. With part 1, they start April 11. So we have many course providers across Europe. So really come into action and start preparing yourself for the CMA exams. If you want to do self-study, that's also possible. We have self-study material providers. So you can go to their websites, buy the books and start studying. Go to imanet.org. There you find a list of course providers and material providers. If you want to have more information about the CMA, there's a link on your screen. You will see it on your screen within a few seconds. If you click there, you will receive more information about the CMA, and then you can start preparing for your next career move by earning the CMA. And now I would say let's go to the Q&A, because I see on my screen actually where people are coming from. I see people from all across Europe, but I also see from the US, even from China, I see people joining. So it's really a global certification. That's the proof of it. We will read out the questions. We have 10 minutes left, so more than enough time for the questions. I will read the first one. Very good question. From Deepala, if I pronounce it correctly. I'm an MBA student, so can I do a CMA as well? Well, I actually answered that question indeed during on the previous slide. So great question. Yes, of course you can start studying for the CMA exam as well. We do have candidates with an MBA signing up for the CMA program as well. Let's say I write and pass my CMA exams. Can they 2-year requirement be attained while working in any country? Bernardin.
Of course. It's a global certification. We can't emphasize that anymore. You can earn the 2-year experience wherever you'd like it to be, but it has to match the work experience requirements. So I think in one of the slides earlier, we had the CMA handbook. That outlines the exact work requirements that are applicable for the CMA.
I also think what's important to stress is that you can already start with the exams before earning your work experience. So after passing your exams, you have a few years' time to gain the relevant work experience. So if you're not sure whether you fulfill those requirements yet, don't hesitate about it. You can still start.
Thanks. And here's someone else. He's asking, I want to join IMA for becoming a CMA. So what is my first step? Can you help me? Go to imanet.org, I would say. Sign up as a member, and then you are a member, of course, of IMA, and then you have access to all those resources. And then later on, of course, you can also sign up as a CMA candidate. So that's perfectly possible. Go to imanet.org, and then it's very easy to sign up. Then I think we have a good question maybe for Brigitte. How many months in advance do you need to start for the exams and studying?
That's a good question, but also a very difficult question because I think it's very personal. It really depends on what your background is. If you've already completed a full master's in accounting and control and you have quite a bit of relevant work experience, you probably recognize a lot of the different topics. You still need some time to study, but you probably recognize a lot. If you're coming from a completely different field, say you've been a law student and slowly on you've been moving more and more towards that finance function throughout your career, well, you probably recognize quite a bit from your work field, but maybe the theory behind it and the background knowledge needs a little bit more attention. So I always find it hard to give an exact number of months or anything. What we do is always we start, or we want our candidates to start about 4 months ahead, to start with reading the materials and getting familiar with what's potentially going to be asked, what the different topics are, how those questions are asked. And then we recommend to intensify your studying over that period. So just first get familiar and then continue and intensify it until you've got the feeling that you really are able to handle the materials and the questions. But it is a very personal process, and that's also why it's so suitable that there are these many different ways you can study for the exam. You can really pick and choose what suits you best.
Great answer. Thanks. Maybe a tip or a question for Ross. Any tips to clear the CMA exam?
Study. Again, it's about applying the knowledge you have and learning the things that you don't. You know, as Brigitte just said, everybody's in a different circumstance. Everyone's got a varying level of the concepts that they know really well and the concepts that they don't, or that they might be just not have been exposed to. So my personal practice, and I was one of those people who did pass the exam long before he got his work experience. My practice was I took sample exams, lots and lots of them to understand where my weak spots were, and went and focused and studied those, and then went back and took another practice exam. That was what worked for me, but my study partner at the time, it wasn't what worked for her. She wanted to get deep into the books, and she wanted to only take an exam every so often. So it's again going back to knowing your style, but taking the practice exam as close to conditions as possible will get you comfortable at least with the conditions under which you'll take the exam.
Great, thanks. And then we have a question from someone who's very eager to earn the CMA. The question is, can I do both exams in the same testing window? The answer is yes, that is possible. I've heard stories from people doing that, so if you want to do that, just do it. That's your first step, so let's do that one. Then we have a question. Is there any scholarship available? Good one. Would you like to answer that one, Bernardin?
Yes, of course. So we do offer the CMA Scholarship, which is available for any student at a university. But the first step for that is for you to contact your professor, because your professor is the only one that can actually submit a CMA scholarship. And every university all across the globe can submit up to 10 scholarship nominations each academic year. So that's from September to June. If you need anything more on that, feel free to contact us and we'll go over the details with you.
Great, thanks. Another question, how many attempts can we do to pass the CMA exam? As many as you need, I would say, but you need to pass both exams successfully within 3 years after signing up as a CMA candidate. Good question as well. How has the relevance and the recognition of the CMA changed and developed in the last decade in Europe? That's also a very nice question as well. From a personal experience, but also what I hear from CMAs, there are a lot of job postings, for example, on LinkedIn with jobs where they require the CMA here in Europe. So you see it all across Europe, in every country, you see that they are looking for CMA. So it's very good. People are really looking for it. So yeah, my advice again would be to do the CMA for that one. And then we have another question. What language does CMA support? You can do the CMA exam in 2 languages. English, you can sit for the exam. And in China, you can also sit for the exam in Chinese. What are the demographics of the CMAs? Where are they coming from? Bernardin?
All over the world. I don't think we can't narrow that down to a certain demographic or anywhere. We do have offices in regions worldwide. So, we have the Amsterdam and the Zurich office. So if you're there, feel free to contact us. We have an office in the Middle East, in Dubai. We have one in India, in Bangalore. We have about 4 offices in China, 1 in Singapore. So it can't get any more global than that. And of course, in the US, we have our offices in Montvale and our colleagues spread throughout the 50 states. So our CMAs are everywhere, and companies everywhere, multinational companies as well as SMEs, are requiring certification such as the CMA. So it doesn't really matter where you are.
Great, thank you so much. And we are already on the top of the hour. So great questions. This is really the time to upskill, I would advise. You have heard all the stories, so sign up as a CMA candidate now. Just go to our website, imanet.org. There you find all the information, and then you can start your journey already today and make the next career move. That's, of course, really a great future ahead. Brigitte, I would like to thank you for being with us today. It was really great, great stories as well, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great. Bernardin, also thank you. Really great having you here. Russ, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it that you joined us at this hour of the day. And also great advice to the candidates, potential candidates, and also great career stories. So thank you for that.
When you're a certified management accountant, managers will do whatever it takes to get you on their team.
We've got a window office with your name on it.
We have a corner office with your name on it.
We'll pay for your lunch.
We'll pay for your apartment.
We'll give you a signing bonus.
Because your ability to turn data into decisions is always in demand.
We've got summer Fridays.
We've got summer and winter Fridays.
So take the first step toward becoming a CMA today and let the managers fight over you.
See you on Monday.
CMA, it makes all the difference.